The weight that remains. This continuation remains biblically inspired and scripturally accurate in moral authority. Human suffering, loss, and perseverance are presented without glorification of violence or despair. The protection of the innocent is upheld as obedience to God, not sentimentality. No character is sustained by fate, symbolism, or mysticism. Endurance is shown as faith lived under pressure. Scripture referenced remains fully spelled out and submitted to the authority of the Holy Bible. All glory belongs to God alone. There are moments when every path converges, when silence, truth, fear, and obedience demand an answer at the same time. This part of the story reveals that loss does not always remove what is loved most. Sometimes it removes what was relied upon, and what remains must be carried forward by faith alone. The story. The city tightened around them. Broadcasts changed tone. Man's image appeared on screens scavenged back to life. Grainy footage of him at the checkpoint, boy in his arms, scripture on his lips. The label followed quickly: destabilizing religious extremist, suspected organizer, dangerous influence. The lie was clean, efficient, and believable to those desperate for safety. The rebellion fractured under the pressure. Some fled, some hid, some argued for surrender, and others looked to man with expectation he never asked for. Leadership pressed onto him by necessity, not ambition. He reminded them again, "Follow me only as I follow Christ," though he never claimed the words as authority, only as warning. They moved before dawn. A narrow route beneath collapsed infrastructure led them toward the outskirts, away from centralized control, but the path required splitting. Too many bodies would leave tracks. Too many voices would echo. Man faced the choice silently. He divided the group, assigning routes, supplies, and scripture, praying over each quietly. The loss came suddenly. Not through capture, not through violence, but through sacrifice. An older man named Eli, once a teacher, now a watcher, volunteered to stay behind, to trigger a diversion, draw attention away from the families and children. Man protested, argued, prayed, but Eli smiled with peace that only obedience brings, quoting softly, "Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends." John chapter 15 verse 13. They never saw Eli again. The explosion echoed miles away, not large enough to destroy a building, but loud enough to pull patrols, drones, and eyes toward it. The rebel escaped, but the cost lingered heavy and unresolved. Boy stirred as the sound rolled through the distance, clinging tighter to man's shoulder. Man felt the weight then. Not guilt, not regret, but responsibility sharpened by loss. Leadership was no longer theoretical. Obedience had consequences measured in lives, not words. He prayed through tears he did not wipe away. "Lord, teach me to walk worthy of this calling." They reached a temporary refuge, an old church basement untouched by propaganda screens, cracked walls bearing scripture etched decades ago. The rebel regrouped, quieter, humbler, changed. Man did not speak for a long time. He fed Boy, checked on the wounded, listened to grief without correcting it. That night, when all were asleep, man sat alone beneath a faded cross, the boy sleeping peacefully beside him, and he understood something clearly. God had not spared him loss, God had entrusted him with endurance. He remembered, we are hard-pressed on every side, yet not crushed, we are perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 8 and 9. Above ground, the human entity recognized the shift. Fear was no longer enough. Martyrdom disrupted control. Faith-based resistance did not collapse when leaders fell, it multiplied quietly. They escalated. Man was no longer just hunted. He was marked as a symbol they did not understand. As dawn approached again, man rose, adjusted the strap securing boy close to his heart, and looked at the survivors entrusted to his care. His greater loss had refined him, not broken him, and the boy remained, living proof that obedience still protects life even when it costs dearly. They moved forward, not with certainty of survival, but with certainty of purpose. And the city, though still broken, was no longer silent.